Good morning, everybody. Actually, start. Good morning. Happy Sunday or Monday, depending on where you live. Today, I am going to be painting raspberries. And what I'm doing right now is I am sketching in watercolor pencil these raspberries. Now, the benefit of doing this in watercolor pencil is that you can go back over and paint, and it all kind of blends together. Now, I posted in my feed, good morning, everybody. I posted in my feed that I wanted suggestions for what to paint today. And the suggestion that I got that really kind of like made me, oh, that's a good idea. Am I making this too big? I possibly am. Was someone said, paint your fondest memory. I thought to myself, well, what would that be? And my fondest memory that came to mind was black raspberries. And I grew up living in a city suburb. My great-grandparents lived out in the country. And when we would go and visit them, they had these giant, like, walls of black raspberry bushes in their backyard. And I thought to myself, I wish I could go and visit them again. And I wish I could eat these black raspberries. And this seemed like a perfect topic, considering I've been doing so much veggies and fruits lately, that I could try and do these. And admittedly, I have only painted these once, and it was with a sketch, so this could, maybe not be a success, but we're going to give it a shot, and they seem perfectly in season right now, so we're sketching it out first, and then we're going to I'm going to actually sketch out another one too, I think. I want to do this a couple of times, kind of in a couple of different ways. So we'll do this again over here. And again, I'm using watercolor pencils right now. And these are Karst brand. They are not in my shop, my showcase. I was gifted these by Karst last year when I was more active on Instagram. And Karst is not a shop here on TikTok. But they're actually very good pencils. They're woodless watercolor pencils. My paper today is from the Bee Paper Company. So it is a watercolor paper pad. I love the texture on Bee paper. Oop. As it looks upside down. Looks like this. This is my Bee Elite paper pad that I'm using, my sketchbook.
Why do you have mine away?
Because I'm using it for an image, because I don't know where mine is. I didn't think you'd be mad about it, because, you've used mine before.
I think I know.
And you don't need it right now, do you?
No, but
Okay. And I will be using my Meeden paints today.
I thought you were using your device.
Oh. Can you just charge it for me? Because it probably needs a charge. I'll charge this back up, Maggie, when I'm done with it. And so all I'm doing right now is sketching out some raspberries. And we're going to try and do them a couple of different ways. So kind of like a, let's go first round, see how it goes. And then second round, maybe we'll use 2 different mixed media over each one of them, just to kind of have a comparison. And the nice part about a sketchbook is you don't have to worry so much about composition. You're just testing things out. You don't have to fill a whole page. I'm probably putting too many little baubles in this thing, but oh well. This is a study on a raspberry. So if it's too much, if it's too little, you'll learn, right? You learn from the actual practice of it. I just realized I haven't been looking at any of the comments, or if there is any. But any hoodle, good morning. Happy to have you. And let's get started. So the brushes that I'm going to use today come from this set. Just dropped my other brush set. This is my Artify set. And they're this bright and vibrant little yellow set. I'll pin them for you so you can see them. Basically, it's a 10-piece set. It comes with all the different brush heads you could want. A lot of filberts, which I really liked, because I've been kind of like, as I've been testing out all of my different brushes, I've been really enjoying filberts. I think I just posted that one yesterday. The filbert brush with peony is really magical. It's just so good together. But this particular brush set just has like 10 different brushes. I like that they're this vibrant yellow color. They're really nice. At least so far. I've only worked with them a couple of times. So far so good. But anywho, I'm going to be working with, I'm going to work with my round brushes today and probably a filbert. So we'll see how it goes. And if you are part of my fan club and you have not done your daily heart me yet, feel free to do so. It helps you and it helps me. All right, I'm gonna move my pencils because I think I'm done with them for right now. I'm gonna put my water back in here. Try and reorganize myself a little bit. There we go. All right. I think what I'm gonna do first is go over this in a full-on wash. We'll probably just go in a light pink purple color together, like a lavender. So I'm just going to mix on my page over here, a real watery mix of that. And then I'm just going to kind of paint over. Everything I just drew. Now, what it will do is it will move the colors around so you can see kind of the yellow blending out a little bit. There we go. You do lose some of your sketch. So if you want to keep some of that sketch, maybe going in pencil is a better move. But I can actually still see some of those bubbles, those little raspberry bubbles underneath. Decide when you're painting what side you want to be the more vibrant side. And by that I mean the more pigmented side. Maybe one side is more lit than the other, more in the sunshine. I think I'm going to keep this the darker side and this the lighter side. And I'm just throwing in little bits of pigment here and there as I go. Just dabbing as I go. And you can see it's picking up some of that yellow from the watercolor pencils up here on the top. Let's go in and do it again. This time I'm just going to kind of drop in some little dots of color where I imagine those little berry baubles will be. So I call this tandem painting, where you've got two paintings happening at the same time on the same side of each other. And the goal there is to, if you're going to change something up, you've got two comparison points. So I'm kind of going in the same way with most of these at the same time. So later on, I'm not like, wait, what did I do that was different? And I will probably use 2 different mixed medias on this just to have a comparison and to pick which one I like the most. And thanks for the likes and the hearts and all the things. I appreciate you. I haven't decided if I'm going to make these black or purpley pink yet. I'm kind of laying down the foundation for a purpley pink, but admittedly, I have not decided yet. Pull this in a little bit. Or 2. Okay. Try 100% cotton paper. It's a game changer. This is 100. I think this is 100% cotton. Pretty sure it is. Usually it is. Their paper is usually 100% cotton. I gotta check though. Hold on. It doesn't say, so maybe it isn't. But generally, I do use 100% cotton. And B Paper is the B Paper company usually produces cotton paper. So far so good. I haven't had any problems with it yet. I am going to blow dry this though with my Handler heating tool. Usually the paper I use is Bauhung or Meeden, 100% cotton. They're my favorite. And I don't usually use my heat gun too long, usually no more than 30 seconds, I would say. This is not fully dry, but it's dry enough. It's dry enough for what I need. Okay. Let's see. Let's do the leaves. We'll go in on a light green to start. So if you're unfamiliar with the different types of brushes, there are lots of different shaped brushes, lots of different brands of brushes. I'm working with a round brush. Can you stop playing with that, please? That is not a toy. Thank you. And I like to try out all the brands. So when you come on here, you won't generally see me sticking with just one. So I can give you my honest feedback. This is a really nice set, I will say. I think Artify is actually one of my favorite student grade brush set or brush companies. They don't feel like magic, but they feel comfortable. Like there are certain brush companies where the painting feels like you're having a whole new experience. This just feels, it's like a comfort brush. Does that make sense? They're affordable and you can almost always guarantee you're going to feel like you know, in control and are having a really good experience. And generally with watercolor, you want to go in a little lighter and then build up that pigment as you go. Just realized I had that one over here too. I did not initially sketch. Okay. Let's go in on the little berry baubles next. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to lean into that pink purple for this one and maybe go darker for this one. Or no, maybe I do the pink purple for both. I still want to go in light. I know that because if I go in light, then I can build up and not feel like I'm fixing something. So what do you guys think? Should I go like dark purple blackberry or red raspberry? What do you guys think? Thanks for the follow, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm so close to 10,000 and I'm trying to do it. I don't want to say the right way because everyone's got their way, but I'm trying not to jump into those, you know, I follow you, you follow me back rooms while I appreciate and understand why people do it, I'm trying not to do that. You want the red? All right, let's do it. Which inherently is more pink than red, right? Okay, so what I'm doing over here is my palette is about this big giant, so not a lot of mixing required. It does have all the colors you would possibly need, especially starting out, but as an artist who doesn't love to mix, mixing gives me a little bit of anxiety, especially because I do so much painting online, or live, as it were, and I'm trying to go quickly. I like just pulling right out of the palette and then just watering things down and working with it that way. All right, so this is pretty dry now. I'm just going to go in. I'm going to start basically creating more physically the little berry baubles, as it were. I'm just going to keep doing that, which is highly satisfying, can I just say? I love painting little circle bubbles. Good morning.
Can you go have breakfast?
Okay. And this feels really like accessible, right? Like berries in general, like raspberries, can feel very intimidating because there's so much light and dark and shadow and all of that stuff. But if you start here, and then maybe with a few of these, just add a little bit of extra color, like after you put your little bauble down, your little berry bauble. That's what I'm going to call them. We're going to call them berry baubles. Basically, you can kind of lift paint. You can add paint. You can add different colors. You can just kind of play around with your tones and shades and all that stuff. Nice eyes. Very good. I feel like I need to like do something here, maybe smaller. Here we go. So if you find that empty space that you're like, oh, that doesn't look like there's space to put a little bauble in there.
Add this one in?
Yes. You can always go with a smaller shape or just leave it dark and then really work on the shadows in that space. This is so fun, guys. I just love making these little baubles within the berry. So fun. Thank you, honey. And then obviously, if you're, can you pick that up, please? If you're tucking things behind leaves, you're not going to want to make a full like little circle. And then just let that dry. Or if you want to be really brave, add a tone of purple in there like that. And then just kind of let it bleed, because these little berry baubles are generally not all the same color. Her mouth is open. She wants you to go away. I don't know what she's doing, but she does not want to be here right now. Oh, purchase what? What are you going to purchase, Jenna? Tell me more. The paper? Oh, this is wet. Or the paints, or what are we talking about? I actually found art through COVID. So during that time, I was home with my kids, and I needed something for me because I was stressed out. I'm a teacher by day. During the school year, I teach 6th grade math, and I needed something that felt like nothing I was doing all day. And I grew up in a crafty family, but never took any formal art classes. I think the last art class that officially I ever took was a 7th grade required art class. I remember his name was Mr. Silvaggi, and he was one of my favorite teachers that year, and it was a really difficult year for me. But he was just so nice. Like, he was like old school, had been around the block for quite a while, did not care like what kids did not care what teachers thought. He just lived his best life, you know? Ooh, the paint set and paper. This is a good starter paint set and paper. The B paper is very affordable, number one. The paint set is reasonably affordable. There are cheaper paint sets out there. So, you know, feel free to shop. I do have a couple of them in my shop if you want to take a look at them. But this paint set is solid. Like, as an artist who's been painting for a while, I feel like I would use this in my own personal practice outside of coming on here and using it with you guys. I do really genuinely like it. And anyone I've talked to who's been painting around the block like me genuinely likes this palette. I think they just feel a little bit more nuanced. Like, you've got a really quality set of granulation in some of these paints, which is not always going to be the case in these paint sets. All right, I'm gonna add a bit more pigment in here. So I'm just going right into my palette. Like, so you can, there's a couple of things you can do with watercolor paint. You can just dip right out of the palette square, and just put it on your page. So I'll just do that right now, just so you can see it. You can see it's a bit more pigmented than everything else. I'll even add it in here because that's a little pinkier and it'll give it a little bit more interest. And maybe up in here too, kind of tucked around, right? Or you can add that same paint onto your palette, which this, I think this is 48, and just add some water. I'm gonna purple it up a little bit more. Like, I just wanna darken that up a little bit. And this is where you mix. You mix on the side and you figure out what you like best. I actually want that darker, I want this darker tone, so hold on. I think this is more of a brick red color. Yeah, there we go. And then I'll put the pink back in there. That's the color I'm looking for. There's the red raspberry. Okay. But it allows for mixing and getting those nuanced colors, but you don't have to. And then the goal here is, once we get these two raspberries, the watercolor on these painted, is we dry it, we create more shadow work on it, like we fill in some of these empty spaces between the little baubles with darker pigments in certain spots. Excuse me. And then we go over it in mixed media, which is my favorite. And then we play that way. I'm gonna add some more of this darker tone here. The other thing you do with these like little circles is you can create shadows, especially when they're dry, around the curl of the circle. And it just gives it so much dimension, right? Like, look how much more interesting it looks when you add a little bit more color in a curl or in like a C shape. Okay. Now, what I did with these berries, I'm going to do the same thing up here with their little stems, but I'm going to go in with a darker color. You can see over. Okay. Now, what I did with these berries, I'm going to do the same thing up here with their little stems, but I'm going to go in with a darker color. You can see over here how much. Sorry about that, guys. You can see over here how much I love this green. It's like a sap green, but it's very granulated. Of all the paints, it's probably the most. And it's my favorite color to paint with anyway. I just love painting with this color. So in this, you can kind of play with some shadows a little bit. And generally, I almost always on my second layer you're almost always going to add less pigment. Like, you're not going to cover the whole leaf. And you're going to add the pigment into the areas where you imagine there is a bigger or a darker shadow. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. So underneath here, in this space, down here. And then if you like that brush strokey vibe, you can just leave it. If you want it to look more blendy, then you would just add water. So for instance, on this one, I just cleaned my brush off. It doesn't have any paint in it. I'm just going to add water on the edge of that, and it will soften up that brush stroke. Like that. And I would do it down here too. I'm just going to get a bit more pigment. I want that to be a little bit darker on this second layer. And then I'm going to go back in. Need more water, more water. And I'm just going to pull that stem out, like that. Definitely need it to be a little bit darker there. And pull. There we go. Okay. While that is happening, let me just check comments really quickly. You got raspberry lemonade today. That sounds amazing, Josh. Actually, you know what I want? Oh, hold on. Heather, that is the medium watercolor set. If you look at number 2, the little white box at the bottom of your screen, that's the watercolor paint set that I'm using. You know what I want now, Josh? Now that you mentioned raspberry lemonade, I now want coffee lemonade. Has anyone here ever had coffee lemonade? Because it sounds different, but it's legit amazing. I have a local like biker coffee shop nearby, like within like a 5-minute drive, a 15-minute walk, and they sell coffee lemonade. And basically what they do is they put the lemonade in the bottom, and then they pour, it's probably like 1/3 lemonade, 2/3 coffee, and then they put like fresh brewed coffee on the top with ice. Oh, so good. So good. Yeah, it's wildly delicious. Thank you so much, Segress. I really do love this paper. I really, really do. Okay, so let's go in on these. Are they dry enough yet? Not really. Let me add a few more bits because I want to darken some of these up a little bit more. See how this fades? It gets like, it doesn't look bad, but it just fades. It's not as vibrant as it is when you put the paint on the first time. I'm just going to go in and add a few like more pigmented little berry baubles in here just to kind of make it the fade not look so plain and dull like that. Okay. Now I'm going to go in with my heat gun again. I'm going to do this because if I'm going to add shadows, I want these shadows to not bleed with the little berry baubles. Good morning, friend. How are you, CJ? Is this early for you, CJ? This is a Chandler Tool dryer. Here, I can pin it for you if you want to see it. Hold on. Pretty sure I put it in here. I have, not that early. I know you like to stay up late. So, Segress, here's my opinion on hot air dryers. They are not necessary, but they are convenient. So if you are a work in tandem, like you're doing all your paintings at the same time, lined up next to each other, you can go back and forth as they dry. So that is an option. The nice part about an air dryer for me is that while I'm on here with you guys, I can speed up my process, and it's better than a regular hair dryer. A regular hair dryer will probably take you 2 to 3 minutes to dry this, whereas the heat gun will take you 30 seconds, maybe 45 at the most. And the reason for that is the barrel on the heat gun is so much smaller and more focused, whereas a hair dryer would have like the big head on it and it shoots the air everywhere. This shoots it just in this one little spot. Like you can see how tiny that is. And the plastic around it is meant to even narrow it further. So not required. No, it's just incredibly convenient, especially for me because I have an art space designated. If I did not have a designated art space, I can't promise I would be using it as much because I bought it way too soon. I bought it when I didn't need to buy it. And I was working out of my kitchen table, and working from my kitchen table meant I had to clean everything up after I had painted. So having that out and going back and forth and unplugging and replugging was not necessary for me, but you're so welcome. No problem. Yeah, I just want to be really honest with you about my art supplies and how I use them. I think, like, I have a friend who doesn't use a heat dryer at all. And then I have a friend who uses it religiously. I think it's preference. So I'm just going to add, I want to reshape this berry a little bit. It's looking a little wonky to me. Maybe I just need to build up the top a little bit more. And then maybe a couple of curls down here like it's going around. That feels a little bit better. And since I did that there, I'm going to do it here. And these are looking a little plain, so let's zhuzh them up a little bit. All right, and what I am doing right now is going into some of these little circles and adding a curl of darkness underneath each circle for the purpose of impressing upon you that it's shadowed in that area. And right now I'm just using the same color tone to keep it simple. But if you were a more realistic painter, you might be changing up the colors as you go around. But I'm more of an impressionistic painter. I don't paint for super realistic purposes. Otherwise, I would have a hard time coming back and painting for myself every time, you know? Like sometimes I think we set the standard so high that if it doesn't turn out the way we imagined it in our brains, we get frustrated and we don't come back to it. And I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for you. So I try and make my art as accessible as possible. It's really important to me. Do the same thing over here. And that's also why I use mixed media, because it helps me walk away from an art piece feeling happy with the results. And if you're not familiar with mixed media, it's basically everything that's not paint. So pencils, crayons, pastels, even acrylic paints would be considered that. Acrylic markers. Huh? What? I think so. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. And again, if you're in my fan club, make sure that you heart me today, because there are now stickers in my fan club that you can use during my lives, which are very much geared toward my handle and my practice. So if you're in the fan club, feel free to jump in there and or even look at the stickers and play with them, because I love them so much. I love them. I love them. Okay. So this is mostly dry. This round brush, while great, is not going to handle the details of this very well. So I'm going to change my size to this one. This brush is a size 2 round. Rounds are very versatile. You can use them to paint just about anything. And this one is a size 0 round. This is going to give me more of the detail that I want as I'm building up the inside white parts with a bit more shadow. Now, there is a funny thing about raspberries, is that some of them, I'm just mixing this with, can you see what I did over here? I took some of this purple and mixed it with the pink that I've been using just to kind of warm it up a little bit. Sometimes these black raspberries, the insides actually look a little bit more white, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of have lighter shadows up here and darker shadows down here. So we'll kind of see how this goes. So if it goes terribly wrong, I apologize. I've never painted these before like this. I've done very detailed illustrations and then just kind of painted in the lines. But we're trying something new today. And I'm painting these again because someone in my post where I told everyone I was going live mentioned I should try and paint something that I have fond memories of. I have really fond memories of black raspberries growing up and visiting my grandparents out at their farm. Or they didn't have a farm, but they lived in farming community. My grandfather was a pastor. My great-grandfather was a pastor. And we would go out there and we would I remember they had these beautiful waterfalls at the bottom of the hill, just where their house was at the top. And they had endless bushes of black raspberries. And I remember going to their house and running outside to the backyard and spending the entire afternoon trying to discover more raspberries and take them home because I love them so much. So you can see I'm changing up the tone of my shadow. I'm trying to make it less dark, but still dark enough to imply shadow work. I will also probably be going back in when I'm done and adding more light back to the piece because I want to give the impression that there's a light source, and the light source was probably coming from this direction.
Has Uncle Ray seen Rollies yet?
I don't know. I don't think so. Thanks for all the likes and hearts. I appreciate you guys. Yes, I certainly can share the link for the brushes. No problem. There you are. As I said before, Artify is a great company for student grade brushes. And I don't know, like, I mean, I will say that I'm always a student because that's just how I feel. But as an artist who comes on here and paints, I do really feel comfortable with these brushes. They feel safe. I don't feel like the water is out of control. And there are lots of lots of art companies that have great brushes, but I feel like these ones are in the more affordable pack and still do the job. Like I have a 9 set student grade brush set that is completely sold out of the shop, the TikTok shop, that I love because it has lots of different brush heads, but can't buy it in the shop. That looks pretty cool, guys. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Let me lighten up. I do want to still fill in some up here too, but I'm going to lighten this up a little bit. Maybe more bubblegummy pink. And then I'm going to still keep filling this in. I need that to be a little bit flatter there. I think the hardest part about raspberries are all these shadows, right? So again, let's give the impression without stressing ourselves out. So I'm just adding some extra baubles on the outside. Up here. Okay. Feels pretty good though. Thanks, Segress. Oh, thank you, honey. All right, let's go over here and do the same thing that I did here again. So we're going to start off with a darker tone. We're going to grab that purple and mix, and then we're going to add some purple to that and mix. And then we're going to go back in here. We're going to do the same thing I did with the other one. This side is going to have the darker in-between colors. The middle will have a lighter version of this. And then this side will have more of a bubblegum pink version. So dark, medium, light. The other thing to pay attention to is as you don't re-dip your paint, the paint will get lighter as you move around. So just kind of keep that in mind. Like you might want to reload your paint as you go because you know that you're on the darker side of the raspberry. Thanks for the follow, Nurs. Okay, let's go with a more pinky tone now. I'm going to go back to the pink, not as purpley. I don't know that I want it that dark, but let's see how it goes. If you ever feel like you go down too dark to begin with, you can always add water to that. You can also lift it off the page with your brush. I know a lot of people are very intimidated by watercolor because they feel like you can't fix it, like you can't paint over it and have it be beautiful. I think you just need to get used to working with the medium. I think it's very reasonable. I started with watercolor and I feel like as an artist, it's the most affordable of the mediums. I also feel like it's the most accessible to make really like wildly beautiful things without I don't know, like without the requirement of making the perfect brushstroke. Like you can go in with ink and doodles and still create really cool things that people like and not worry so much about the perfect brushstroke or anything like that. So that's why I decided to paint with it. I started with watercolor blobs and doodles. That's where I started. So if I can start with watercolor and have very little experience in the other mediums, I think anybody can find watercolor accessible. Thanks for the shares. Thanks for the follows. I appreciate all of you so much. Okay, so this one looks much bigger than that one. I suppose it doesn't really matter. Let me just add a few more little things on the outside here. Kind of like what I did over here. I'll do another one there and there. Like that. And then maybe one there. Like that. Okay. That looks and feels pretty good. It's very fluffy. It's like the fluffiest of all of the fruits, for sure. Okay, so those are pretty good. Maybe we go in one more time on the stem. You noticed I left that a little bit brushstrokey. I can still go in and add water and blend that out because I honestly thought about leaving it that way. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, let's blend it. See how it dried? It was already dry. So just adding water will blend that out. What that does mean though is in order to, when you're done, you don't want water to splatter on top of it because if it does, you don't have a whole lot of control about what happens to it afterwards. So there are wax mediums that you can use to protect your art. The most common one that I have used and that I've seen other people use is Dorland's wax medium. It's not in my shop. They're not for sale in the TikTok shop, but you can find it in plenty of other places. Basically, you put like a thin layer over the top of this with, you could do it with a paper towel. You could do it with a palette knife, and then you let it dry overnight, and then you come back and you buff it out with a paper towel again, and no water will impact it at all, which is really nice. So I don't do it a lot because most of my practice is creating art and either selling it in its original form, protected in a sleeve for people to decide how they're going to protect it themselves, or I digitize it. I turn it into stickers and stuff like that. So I'm not super precious about my paintings, but that's a personal choice. That's not something that is for everybody. Also, I'm prolific. I paint all the time, and to protect every painting with that wax would get very expensive very quickly. I need this to be as dark as this. Like I'm looking at it right now, and it's looking like some of these baubles are a little darker, and I don't want that. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of purple. That feels a little bit better. Is there anybody here with preteens or teenagers in their homes? Because, yeah, my husband's raising his hand. If you know anything about preteens and teenagers, you know that right now I'm probably listening to K-pop Demon Hunters, and I can hear my daughter playing Golden in the background, which means she's probably playing it really loud because she's like 3 rooms over. I know. And my 8-year-old son loves it too. I don't know if Rumi or Zoe is his favorite. He was talking about the other day. All right. So these look pretty good. I'm going to dry these now. I'm not going to put any more paint on this. Like my 2 paintings are done. What I'm going to do next is a test on which mixed media I like the most. Or, in this case, that you like the most. I always find that after my 3rd layer of paint, I have a hard time feeling confident about how it looks after. Like I feel like I overwork it and then like it hits this like massive ugly stage that really frustrates me. So generally what I do is I mix media over the top. And just so that you know, this paper curled because of the heat. It will go back to normal, but the heat, and just as water can curl paper, so can heat. So what will end up happening is I'll probably just end up closing this book, and after sitting closed for a little bit, it'll go right back to the way it was. So I just wanted to kind of be clear about that. If it's going to hold it down or not. That'll hold it down pretty good. I'm going to put my paint palette off to the side because I'm not going to be using it now for a little bit. What I am going to do now is I'm going to use some mixed media. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to do my Shuttle Art gel pens on this one and maybe some dry mixed media watercolor on this one. And then we'll decide which one is the best. Okay. So these are my Shuttle Art colored pens that I just received from them not that long ago, like last week, I want to say. And I'm not normally an ink person, but I could be an ink person with these. These are really fun. And as a teacher, you just can't go wrong with a gel pen, especially when you're correcting stuff. Okay, so I'm looking at, I definitely want to do something with the stems. I'm definitely going to use the black no matter what. Like that'll be my last bit. This color, let's look at the greens. Let's look at all of the greens and we'll decide which one we want to use. These greens are pretty blue. This one might work. You almost want you want the color that's in your paint and something that's like within that paint zone that feels very similar. So like I'm looking at these. This is probably the closest one, maybe this one. And then the other thing with that is too, you like want to think about, is it just going to blend in with everything or do you want it to be a little bit of a contrast, which can be a whole other, decision-making process. So if I'm looking at this, this is, I might do this one. We'll pull this one out and then we'll pull this one out and then we'll see how they look together. And then as far as the berries go, I definitely want a creamy, like light color in that pink tone. And then these aren't super dark. These are pretty pastel-y, I must say. So maybe, is this? I don't know if I want that brown. Let's pull it out anyways, just in case. And then we'll pull out this purple. And then we'll pull out this dark pinky purple. And we'll go with this. This is what we'll do. And we'll use it just for this one. And then we'll do more scribbly crayon stuff with this one. Hey, friend. Yes. We're doing a side-by-side comparison of mixed media with 2 raspberry heads. Yes, yes, yes. Soon my older will go to college, so I'm enjoying this last week at home. Oh, I totally get it. My husband is a part-time college professor. He teaches a 6-credit course for social work, like the Grad School of Social Work in the city of Buffalo. And I'm a teacher, so my kids are at home right now, and I will be going back to work soon as well. So I totally get the go back to school vibe. I'm sure you're going to enjoy the quiet. Well, I'm sure it'll be nostalgic, right? Like you'll enjoy the quiet time and also you'll miss him, right? Okay, so let's go in with the leaves first. I just want to get a vibe, and I'm not as worried about messing up the leaves as I am worried about messing up the raspberries. So let's just go through. I'm going to zoom this in, zoomy zoom, so you can see. Now, number one, this is super duper thin. So I'm not sure I can get this any closer. I think this is as close as it's going to be. You can see that tone. Ooh, you can see that tone in there. Now, you just saw that line go in, right? So super thin, which I love. So it's one of those things where you're going to have to look, really look for that extra detail, but I like it. Let's go up in here. We're going to extend that petal out a little bit with a little bit of a doodle. And then we're going to put a little line, like a big line vein, kind of along the paint line. And then I'm going to create some veins along the side. Maybe not the whole side, but maybe the impression of that whole side. And then come up here and create a few more. It's all about impressions, folks. It has nothing to do with perfection here. We're just testing out how our supplies work and whether or not we would use this for maybe an extra special art piece that we do want to be more precious with. Doodly doodly, up and down, over this way, and over this way. And maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you are a purist and you want your art to be more watercolor based, then you do this work with your actual paintbrush. But for me, I like a doodle. All right, so I think that's good enough with this green one. Let's try the darker green one, especially in the shadowy areas. And definitely down here. And I think I should definitely have a little bit in this section here. And it's just me scribbling a little bit. And maybe that's the top of that stem. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're getting a lot of out of this. I feel like, oh, hello from Kimber. Kimber where? Are you Kimber? Or are you from a town called Kimber? Tell me more. It is magical. Magic is happening. All the magic. Well, and here's the thing for me. It's magic for me. And if it's magic for you too, yay! And if it's not, that's totally fine too. Preferences, friends. We all have our preferences. And is there such a thing as overdoing? Of course. But no one knows what overdoing is except for you. You know when something feels overdone. And if it feels good to you, that's all that matters. Okay. That, I think, maybe a little bit more right here. I'm actually having a better time seeing this from my camera view than I am from being up close. All right, let's zoom this back out. It's got some character. I like it, I like it. Let's add some character in the raspberry itself. Okay, I'm gonna start with this one, and we're gonna really lean into, zoom in again. Oregon is your hometown. Lovely. I've never been to Oregon. I would like to, though. All right, so what you should see me doing here is I'm really working on those C curves again, especially in this area down here, in the spots where I imagine the berry to be its darkest. Now, it looks to me like most of this area is pretty dark already with the work I've already done. And some of this is getting redone again. I'm sharpening things up. I also am bringing structure back to maybe certain spots that feel a little bit too loose to understand the structure. And there are some people, Alexis told me the other day about a woman named Lori Ferguson. And she does oil paintings. I think she's on the IG. And she does oil paintings that are very impressionistic. Like, they're not super realistic, because they're so loose, but so fabulous. And I just went and checked her stuff yesterday, and I was so impressed. Well, Paula, you'll have to tell me if you love them, because these are really great for details. The details are my favorite. They're my favorite, Sermillion. They're my favorite part. Because I feel like I have my control back a little bit. Like, don't get me wrong. I love a watercolor bleed like everybody else. But it's this detail work that feels the most satisfying to me. Because I feel like it brings the pop back to the piece when it got lost in the watercolor blends and bleeds. And I'm not trying to fix everything, but I do want to, and not that it needs to be fixed, that's probably the wrong word, but I do love the fact that it just kind of brings more of a pop to things. Okay. And maybe a few, yeah. Impression of another one kind of hanging off over here and there. Guys, it's coming along so well. I love it. I love it. Watercolor and mixed media is my absolute favorite, Melissa. Favorite ever. Had to scream that out loud. Please, please scream it. It's totally fine. With your, well, number one, this is watercolor. The whole painting is watercolor with the exception of the ink. The painting itself will bleed. So everything underneath the ink will definitely bleed. As far as is this water, the ink itself, water protected, I'm not even sure. Let me see. It's not labeled, it's archival. So it potentially could. Here, let me test it out. We'll test it out. We'll do it right down here. This is a scrapbook after all, so it doesn't matter if I do extra things. Yeah, it does move if you add water to it. Oops, I didn't even show you. Let me show you again. Just realized it was off screen. This is not archival ink, but the painting is watercolor anyways. So realistically, you could either use this to your advantage and really work over the top of this with your, like I could do that right here. Let's see. See, I just blended that out a little bit. That could be a total vibe. Like maybe that's something you want to do. But it will absolutely, yes, it will absolutely bleed. So great question. Great question. Let me just dab that up though, because I know me and I am going to lean into it and get it all over everything. Like I did right there. All right. But I don't mind it. It kind of adds to the mixed media bit, right? So you can either work with it or you can go shopping for archival inks. Archival inks are generally water resistant, and you wouldn't have this issue where you would see the paint or the water move that pigment around. But being that this is a watercolor painting anyways, you don't want to get water on this as it is. I do want to see if I can get that off, because it will irritate me. All right, that's better. Better. All right, let's go in with this pinky. This pinky purpley. Let's see if we can see it. I like changing the colors as I'm working. It just gives a contrast that's really nice. Yes, yes, I love it. Paula, I will use it to outline flower petals. Exactly. Or do detail work like the veins in flower petals can look really nice with these kind of pens for sure. All right, I'm gonna go in, and this is gonna be an interesting one because I'm thinking of going in and adding a little highlight with this pen, like that. So this is adding the littlest bit of a highlight to the right-hand side of these little bubbles, these little raspberry bubbles. I don't know if it's going to be enough, like I might want more, but it's probably going to work best over these darker ones anyways. Do you see what I'm doing there? This does imply light on this side of the raspberry. I don't need to do it everywhere. Maybe you want to. But that's pretty cool. Yes, love it. I'm a fan. Do you see how much more 3D this now feels? I love it so much. No? I mean, I still have to do doodles on this one, and then I'll be done. Why? So I would say another 15, 20 minutes. Okay. Okay. Love this. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, it's like a highlighter. Correct, Paula. Love it. Okay. And then maybe I'm going to add it to the leaves too. Just a little bit. Just a little bit to the leaves. Yes. And then maybe up in here on the stem. I find that if I have a color in one spot of the piece, I like to make sure it's in the other color spots as well. Yes. Look how cutie that is. The inks do so much. Guys, I'm so pleased with this. I'm so pleased. I don't use inks that much, but this was totally worth it. All right, let's go in with the black. This is really going to make everything pop. I don't outline everything. I outline the parts that I value the most, which is usually the intersections or the overlaps. I'm going to go into those berries. I'm not going to do it everywhere. And then when you zoom it out, you can see it, right? Oh, I'm in love. I'm in love. It turned out so good. Just don't know, guys. Like, literally, I came into this live today and I was like, what am I going to paint? And then someone recommended that paint your fondest memory. I mean, not my fondest, but definitely a memory I'm fond of is black raspberries growing up. And then to see it just come together like this, just makes my soul feel good. Hi, Jay. Good morning. How are you, Soulfully Adventurous? I saw your booties today. I love burbs. Burbs are the best. Soulfully Adventurous, what time do you find they usually come out? Like, when do they usually feed? I'm assuming the schedule changes as the, like the sun schedule changes. So Soulfully Adventurous does backyard bird lives where basically it's like one of the things I love to do first thing in the morning is just go and see her birds. That's okay. I do post this on YouTube, so if you want to go back and look at it later, you can. But Soulfully Adventurous does I love going on first thing in the morning and like fangirling all over Soulfully Adventurous's feeds with the heart me's and all the things. I just love it. This looks amazing. I would absolutely do this again. I definitely am going to work into this one with a different style of mixed media just to show the comparison. And I think what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to start with, let me put my pens away first though. If I don't put my pens away right now, I'm not going to do it later. And then I'm going to regret it because they're going to be all over. And then I'm going to go live and they're going to be everywhere. And I'm not going to be able to find anything. So this is me being a better person to myself and just putting them away with you guys because you guys are super great and don't hate me for it. You won't mind if I'm trying to be a better person for my art desk. Okay, I just want to make sure I got them all. Good enough. Okay, So we're going to pull out these watercolor crayons for the next one. You're welcome. It's literally different every day. I love it so much. Okay, we're going to unpin the shuttle markers and we're going to pin the water-soluble crayons. Hi, buddy. Okay, I'm almost done. All right, so we've got these. They come in, this is a 25 set. Let me zoom out because I just realized I'm super zoomed. 25 crayon set. These are the swatches. Basically, they're crayons. They go down as these, like, they're not super soft, though. They're very dry. They go down as crayons, like you would crayon doodle on a coloring page. And then you can add water and blend it out, kind of like this. Hi, Devin. And in doing so, you have, like, the freedom to use it as, like, a watercolor set. I don't do that generally. I usually use them as just crayons because I've already watercolored. So I'm going to use this pink. I use this pink all the time. Maybe even this pink, this reddish color, this brownish color. We're going to lean into the colors I used before. This light green, this dark green. There's not a lot of purples in this set, though. That's the only thing. So maybe that purple. And then I'm going to save the black. No, I'll just do the black. Just do it. All right, let's see what happens. I don't actually, this is the emerald green. Which one is this? Is this the malachite green or the emerald green? Malachite. I want the emerald green instead, I think. This one. Yeah, okay. If I have to come back into this, I will. But let's go into, oop, don't fall, don't fall. I'm going to this raspberry now. And we're going to use the crayons instead. And we're just going to see the differences between them. So because I don't have as many purples, we're going to lean into the reds a little bit. And this is going to feel a little bit looser and a little less precious because I don't have a super sharp tip like I do with this one. And what I'm doing is I'm basically just coloring over in certain areas, like where the intersections are. I might use the blue as well, just to get the tones I'm looking for here. Yeah, it's a little bit more bluey on this, but that's okay. When you just don't have the colors, you work with what you got, you know? And maybe there will be some sort of blending on it anyway because I'm adding these tones in. I'm also going to add that dark brown in here too. So you can blend over the top of these and it will start to create more like, I don't want to say intentional, more layered tones. And then you can see it's kind of building up that dark. Tone vibe here. And then rather than use the blue up here, I'll just use the brown. And again, this is less precious. I have less control over the size of the line work up here. So I'm really just more going in as a like little scribble here and there. Okay. And then when I'm done here today, I'm going to be working on my next live with Chelsea. We are going to be doing fish tank animals. So I'm debating, I might do a catfish, like those spotted catfish. Or I was thinking of doing an angelfish, though I think a catfish would be a super fun vibe because they've got those really long whiskers. Okay, so just even looking here, right? Like, do you see like the version of this where I can kind of really strongly create very distinct lines? This one is much more like scribbly. And the lighting on it is not as obvious. Let me go up here and like add a bit more tone. It's more subtle, I guess. This does come with the set does come with a sharpener. It does come with a watercolor, like reloadable watercolor pen. So it does come with these ones, but I don't like them because I don't like the tips on them. They're not manageable for me. I need to have a bit more control, and that is not something that I feel like I have much control over. So, though some people have made it work. Jerry Creates, if you don't follow her, she has a really great tutorial on how she uses that particular brush and how to make it work for you. Okay, for you. Okay. The watercolor crayon, you're not going to see the significant pigment over the top like you would here. So you see how like when I added that light line work, you're not going to see it with this because it's just not as strong a pigment. So what I might do is I might actually go over this a little bit more with other pigments, whether it's white gouache or I could go over it with pastels. I have options, but I'm probably not going to use oil pastels. I'm probably going to use watercolor pastels because they're not as messy. So these are my Behr crayons. I think I'm done with those crayons. I think they're so good. My Behr crayons are these guys right here. I'm going to pin them because I use them almost every time. And I realize there's all these comments, and I'm so sorry. Let me repin this Behr crayon thing for you because the Behr crayons are the most popular thing in my lives every time. Okay, zoom. So these come in a set. This is a set of 24. This is a set of 36. I like the 36 most because it has more yellows. The 24 comes with like one like mustard yellow. So like you see, like this one has that mustard yellow, but no other yellows. This one comes with like a lime yellow and more of a Hansa yellow. So this one's my favorite set. But what I do with it is I go over any crayon work that I did. And this is where you're going to see some of these colors pop off the page a little bit more. So I'm going to take this pink one. We're going to zoom this in. Let me just read questions or comments first because I feel like I'm totally missing the bag on your comments. So let me see. Sophie Adventurous, just stick around, man. We got all sorts of watercolor learning for you, and also recommendations for artists that we love and adore. And also we have tutorials. So stick around. I would love to help you learn watercolor. I would love it. What did you use first for the berries? Tribute to Rin. I used watercolor paints. So the watercolor paints I used was this paint palette. This paint palette is a Meeden paint palette. It is a well-loved paint palette. I use it all the time. It is in the shopping cart below. But if you follow me again, you'll almost, I want to say 75% of the time, I'm using these paints for my lives. So you can kind of, if you join a live a little bit earlier, or even if you see me go show my replay, you can certainly watch the beginning of this raspberry. I'll post it up there today. And then what else do we got? Tell me about the paper you're using, please. Okay, so the paper I'm using, and I'm just pausing this mixed media piece because I want to make sure everybody knows how to start and what they can do. So this paper is called B Paper. It's called the B Elite Company. It's premium artist watercolor paper. I think most B Paper is 100% watercolor, but I'm not seeing the label on here for that. The previous packs that I've used, I've never used this particular sketchbook version, but me and my friend Aduma love B Paper, especially like it's a really affordable paper that you can either buy binded or buy in sheets. And it is, the sheets I've always purchased are 100% cotton, which is always the best to paint on. Oh, they're by Royal and Langnickel? I did not know that. See, learning every day. The only reason I say that is I actually just saw this company as a brush company in my local art store, and I was like, what is this brush company? I've never seen it before. Actually, I saw it at Michael's, if I remember correctly. Any hoodle, I think that this is a great paper to buy. I think it's affordable. I think most people love this paper when they start with it. I gave it to my art class when I did my art class in person, and I think they really appreciated it. I like the texture on it. I think that it's got a lovely like weave to it or bit to it that I really like. And it works really well. Like this kind of paper works best with mixed media, like my style of painting. Okay, I'm still going through these comments here. Just want to make sure. I want to learn to create my own stickers. Ooh, like bird stickers. Yes, I absolutely used a brush. I'll show you my brush set, the one I used today. Anyways, I use all the brushes. I change up my brushes all the time. This is an Artify brush set. Artify is the best company, in my opinion, for beginning artists who want to learn how to paint. They have so many different sets, and I've not had a bad set from Artify yet. I have their quills. I have a set with it's like a beginner set that's not for sale right now. It's completely sold out. But this is a great set that I recently purchased. It's also in my shop. You can check it out. But I would not, don't buy this stuff unless you're like committed to trying, right? Like, don't just buy it because I say so. Buy it after you've seen me paint with a bunch of different brushes and figure out what you like most. You know, I know impulse buy. We all want to impulse buy things, but don't do that yet. Like, only do it if you're like, ooh, I definitely am thinking about it. And this comes with a bunch of different round brushes. They're like all sitting over here on the side because I didn't put them back. So like these are the brushes that I used for the raspberries today. And I like it because it has some filberts in it. These brushes are actually meant for acrylic oils and watercolors. And that's actually pretty impressive that I like this brush set, because I generally don't like to use brushes that are for acrylic or oils as well. Like, there's just a toughness to them that I don't usually prefer in watercolor, but I really like this set. And you can see it's got all the goodies. It does not have a dagger though, which is very sad. You know I love my daggers, or some of you do anyway. But it does have some filberts, which makes me happy because I do love a filbert, especially when painting peonies, which if you're following me, you'll see a video up there about all the different brushes you could possibly want. I had to post that the day for today as well. So, okie dokie. Are we good? Did I get everything? I want to make sure I got everything. Okay. I can't wait to buy your stickers, Soulfully Artful. Soulfully Adventures is what I meant to say. I can't wait. I would love to buy your stickers. Okay, so we're going to go in with this one right here. This is a Silky Crayon from Jupiter. There are lots of different brands of Silkies on the market. Some of them are called gel crayons. I am especially fond of this one for a couple of reasons. Number one, the packaging is just darling. I mean, it's got a bear head cap. Adorable. I also like the fact that it's got like the twisty bottom, so it's like a lipstick, right? It'll go up and down. So that's kind of nice. And then the other thing that I really like about it, that's actually the most important thing, is that it adds layers on top of my paintings where I feel like I lost some of the light. So like I've got all of these pink colors in here, right? But I feel like some of the light has been lost. So what I'll do with my Bear crayons is I'll go over with this very silky, and I can rub it. So like for instance here, I'll show you. I can smush it around with my finger and blend it. I can also add paint to it. Or not paint, no. I can add a brush to it. Here, I'm just gonna grab one of these and paint with it. So I can go over this with water and do all sorts of things with it, which is super fast and fascinating and very satisfying. So lots of different things you can do with these crayons, but I like them usually as a dry media over the top, where I just basically go in here and add little bits of light to these raspberry baubles that are in my paintings, just like that. And it creates texture. It also creates a 3D effect. It's not super precious. It doesn't need to look perfect. I'm gonna go in with white as well, I think. But this is where like people in watercolors struggle with light. They struggle with, how do you get the light back if you've overpainted something? Well, you can use these. And basically you just go in and you just add a little doodly-doo. You're gonna probably see the most impact though in the darker areas, like right there. Or if I go in here. Do you see that? They're just bringing like a little bit of light to the berry, like right in here, that give it more of a 3D effect. Like that. And it just makes it more interesting. Like I would put it up here in the leaf. And then if I wanted to, I could blend it out and soften it up. See, it's like it didn't even exist. This is really nice. It's really, really nice. And I love it so much. And it makes my heart happy to use them. Okay. Let me see if there's another darker tone in here that I can use. This purple color probably will be pretty good. And actually, do you see the blue that's still in there? I wonder if I could bring that back a little bit. Probably this one. Let's see. It worried me at first because it made it look so much different than the other, but I actually think it's kind of a vibe. So put it in here a little bit more. And then I can blend it. Now, I can use my finger, or I could use a, what do you call them? Eyeshadow applicator. But if I do it there, just make sure you spread it around in a couple of places so it feels like it belongs and then it's not sticking out in a weird way. And then you can blend. If you're like, oh, it's not what I wanted. It looks more blueberry-esque. And it does now. It does look a little bit more blueberry-esque. But I can still go over with others. And bring back some of the lightness if I don't love it. And you can play with it and you can bring it back. But I think what I'm going to do right now, I think the last thing I'm going to do is use some watercolor pencil. I got to put these crayons back. Guys, I got to be so much better about cleaning up after myself after I use something. I yell at my kids about this all the time, and I'm the worst at it when it comes to my stuff at this table. Put it back, Christine. Put it back. There we go. Okay. Okay. And then what I'm doing right now is I'm just going in and outlining some of this. With this pencil. This is a watercolor pencil. This is going to do kind of what the ink did over here, but with more like mixed media kind of vibes. And I'm going to do it to the leaves. Looks like I lost that leaf a little bit. So I'm just going to bring that back. And I can always add a little bit of green in there if I want to. There we go. Over the top. What I'm doing right now is I'm kind of creating this like curvy triangle in some of these like berry spots. Just bringing some structure back for my own purposes. And voila, I think I'm done. You leaving? Peace.
I'm wrapping them up.
Okay. Peace out, my dude.
Have fun.
Thanks. I'm almost done. Just bringing some structure back. And then it looks like a raspberry and a raspberry. I like this one more. I put the blue in there and I shouldn't have, but that's okay. That's okay. Yes, easy to blend with your finger. Easy to blend. So if I do it here, blendy, 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 blendy. You see that? And it's not oil, so you can wash your hands pretty easily afterwards. Also, as I showed before, you can add water to it. And that it acts like paint. You can pick up from that and get paint. It's really great for travel. So if you're going to like go somewhere, you take those with you. You don't even need to take a pan of paints. You can use the paint from the crayons and paint with it. Lots of options with these ones. Super fun. I don't even know what I'm making right now. But you see what the point is, right? You see it doing the thing. You see painting with it. Yeah, okay, so completely different, right? So you've got the pens, right? The pens are a little bit more precious. You can see the details a bit more clearly. But I really love this one. I think this one's amazing. And then this one's more of the loose mixed media style, so messier, a little bit less controlled, but you can blend more with your finger, whereas this one, there's no blendies. This is sharp lines over the watercolor. This one's more blendy over the watercolor. And not super blendy, right? Because the dry mixed media I put over this first, the crayons, in order to blend that out, I have to add water. But these crayons over the top, those are blendy. And the black crayon, not blend, or the black colored pencil, not blendy. Thanks, Juice. You don't see, yes, they do. So because they're all, everything on here is watercolor soluble, or water soluble, I should say. And the reason why that's important to note is that if you don't seal it, so there are the two raspberries, if you don't seal it, it will, like if I sprayed water on this right now, the pigment would start to move and flow and get real messy really quickly. So if you want to save your art, this is a good one. Dory Lynn's Wax Medium. I don't use it enough because I'm too prolific. I paint too much all the time, and I would be like spending my money on wax medium all the time. But if your art is precious to you and you want to save it, this is the one to go to. I haven't seen it in the shop here, but you're welcome to go and take a look. You basically, what you would do is, I don't know if this is, I'm not going to do it to this one because it's got, so just a note. I use this over paintings that don't have this pencil over it. This pencil is highly pigmented and it will smudge underneath the painting. But if I use it on this, I can use it on this. I'll show you guys. You're not going to see its finished product, but I can show you on this. So here's the goop. If I put that on there, okay? And then if I spread it out like this on the top, and because it's water soluble, nothing's moving because it's wax, okay? Just blending it over the top. There's no extra pigment under here. It's just ink and watercolor. And then I just scrape it down like this. Okay. And I could do the same thing with this one. I absolutely could. Just understand this pencil will make it much more smudgy, and I don't love that. And then what I'll do is I'll let this sit overnight, and then I'll come back to it in the morning, and I'll buffer it down, and it will not be impacted by any sort of water. And I'm going to be really honest, like there's pigment on this paint palette, so that's why it looks a little bit yellow around the edges, but it normally won't do that. So not my best move when it came to the pigment. All right, my friends, I think that's it for today. Literally, I think my kids just left as I finished. So, but I'm going to be practicing fish today because I'm going live with Chelsea. Tomorrow night, we're doing a tutorial in which we feature each other. And she teaches me how to paint something, and I teach her how to paint something. So I would love it if you would join us. It'll be super fun. I'm either going to do a catfish or an angelfish. I haven't decided yet. We're doing basically aquarium fish or something in your aquarium. That'll be our topic for tomorrow. And then later in the week, I want to say Wednesday over on IG, she and I and a couple other friends, Aduma and Sharon, will be painting farm birds. So geese, chicken, maybe emus, that sort of thing. But anyway, if you have any questions, we've done jellyfish, Haley. Haley, go to my YouTube. There is a tutorial there where we did that one. Tomorrow we will be here for the fish. On Wednesday, we will be on IG for the birds. Okay? All right. I'm going to scoot. Thanks for hanging out today, everybody. I adore you and love you. And please feel to follow and share and all the things. And I will see you again soon. All right. Bye, everybody.